receiver, we want to be physical, we want to dominate, we want to block, but there's also a finesse to it. I think those are two different mindsets, and I think for what you are, almost two different occupations, right? One's working to get open and make catches and block. One's looking to stop the run and destroy the quarterback every chance they get. So I think those are two opposite ends of the spectrum, but there's also guys that are extremely violent on the field and extremely quiet off the field. And then there's guys that are extremely loud off the field and extremely quiet. So it's kind of hard to compare those two positions, but I think if you can find guys with a similar mindset that just, again, love football, show up, work hard, compete, I think you can find similar personalities in two different positions.
Marques, obviously,
over the summer, we saw you put Peter through a pretty extensive workout camping here. When he came to that day, what did you need to see from him? And then overall, what was that recruiting process like?
I think skill sets are always easy to see. Like, those kind of stand out early because you watch so much film and you've seen so many players throughout the years. What you look for is, how will this guy allow me to coach him? Does he shut down when you put him through something tough that he doesn't understand? Or will he just come back and say, okay, let me line up and do it again. Let me keep working to get better. And then how does he compete in a setting where the talent across from him is just as good or potentially better? And so I think within those settings, you get a good feel of, like, will this guy show up in Beaver Stadium and be able to compete against all the competition that we have to go in against year in and year out? So for him to come in and come to camp and, go through some things and coach him through some things, and then come back again, and then you tell him some things, and then he goes back home and he works on those things, and those things start to show up throughout the season. Like, that's a young man you want in your program. He was tough, he was committed, he worked hard, and at the end of the day, you walked away saying, like, this dude loves football, and he competes, and he knew that he had to get better, and it wasn't as if when you told him, like, it was like, I know where I am, like, I hear you, coach. He wanted to be coached, he wanted to get better, and he always asked for feedback. So I think it was a no-brainer for us.
Marques, obviously the plan is for Quinn to play running back, but he had, I think, over 700 yards as a receiver, which, considering he ran for over 1,000, that's pretty ridiculous. What would you say about him as a receiver, being the receivers coach, and is he a guy that could play receiver at the D1 level too?
You trying to get me in trouble with Coach Sider?
No?
He's just, you want to recruit as many guys like that as you can, because there's no limit to the things that they can do on the field. The value that he brings running the ball, the value that he brings catching the ball, which will also, add to his value on special teams. And now we have a lot of football players. And running back can be his best position, receiver can be his best position, but as long as he's on our team, we're a better team. So where he ends up or where we personnel him or put him, like, the sky's the limit. But he gives you so much flexibility because he is such a good football player. But just so I stay on Coach Sider's Christmas list, I'm going to tell you he's a running back. And he's going to stay at running back.
What would you say about Quinn personality-wise, and how well have you gotten to know him over your time in recruiting?
I think he's an extremely, extremely well-rounded young man. I mean, he's easy to conversate with. He doesn't feel like he has to dominate the conversation, but he loves to ask questions. So a lot of times when you talk to young men, especially young football players, like, it's almost like you always talk at them. Like, they are, yes, coach, yes, coach, yes, coach. But then you find some young men who like to ask questions, or why do you say that, or how do you think about that? So getting to know him and getting to know his personality, he's a very well-rounded young man, and you can see why he succeeds so well on the football field, because everything he does is important to him. Details are important. He listens. Like, a lot of kids hear you, but he listens. And so you go 20 minutes down the conversation and you come back to something you started with, he remembers it and he's able to bring it back up. So I know our quarterbacks are going to be happy, because that means he's going to be able to retain blitz protection and pick up those guys coming off the edge in the E-gap. So we're excited we have him, and I think he's going to make our team a lot better.
Hey, Marques, when you look at recruiting a receiver out of the portal versus high school, do you look for the same things, or is there a difference there at all?
I think with this